The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Welcome into an all-new edition of the Belly Up Fantasy Live Baseball Show on the Belly Up Sports Network. I'm Vince Stover, and I'm joined, as I am every single week, by the senior fantasy writer at bellyupsports.com and the man who just walked off a victory with his dinner. He had that last bite and walked away so proud. Kevin Wilson, how you doing, Kev?
I'm doing great, Vince. It's been a great weekend for the second weekend in a row. We get the rain during the week. It clears out on the weekend, so that's been good. And yesterday was National Shrimp Day.
Okay.
And also National Train Day, which I am pleased to report that I participated in both of those activities.
Okay.
And Sandy's allergic, so she didn't get to have any shrimp. But I could have all I wanted, and I did. And so it's been a great weekend. So hope you're having a great weekend as well.
Yeah, so I got my first sun rays of the year, a little sunburnt today, and my kids and my wife are also a little sunburnt. Yesterday, got a chance to go hang out with some friends, and it was great. So, yeah, good weekend. And then, of course, today is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And hopefully if you're able to, you've had a chance to call your mothers today, your mother, and say happy Mother's Day to them as well. So, which
I did do. So, good son. So
that's right. Check that off the list. Now we're even. Me and Mom, I gave her a phone call. So, so good stuff. Good stuff. Well, today we got a fun show. We're going to be talking rookie fantasy performers. We're going to be talking Major League Baseball news and, of course, waiver wire additions and subtractions. So let's get things kicked off with the segment we call Fantasy Burner. All right, the Fantasy Burner segment is presented by Belly Up Sports. You go to the website, bellyupsports.com. All kinds of articles dropping and everywhere these days. Fantasy and regular sports news as well. And then, of course, on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel, you catch all the latest Belly Up Sports Network shows that are on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel, too. So make sure you subscribe to that channel. And this program, it does not air live on the YouTube. It airs live on the Belly Up Fantasy Facebook page and the Belly Up Sports Twitter and X page. But the episode is always uploaded afterwards to the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel and to the Belly Up Fantasy Live Baseball podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts as well. All right, Kevin, today we're talking about rookies who have had a fantasy impact so far. And I would say of my list, there's not maybe but one of them that I anticipated having an impact at this point in the season. But nonetheless, plenty of guys I'm sure to discuss. So we'll start with you. Who's the first rookie you want to talk about tonight?
Well, I was looking over the list the same as you, and we're about exactly one quarter into the season as of yesterday, and so there are some rookies that last year we had some guys that were burning up the place, but this year not so much. But the top rookie, clearly to me, has to be Christian Campbell of the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah,
and I know that coming in today, he was in a 3 for 26 slide, so it's not looking that great. But just before that, he had 2 hits in 3 straight games. And so he is batting cleanup for the Boston Red Sox. And so I'm sure he's the only rookie that's doing that. And he's hitting 264, 4 homers, 13 RBIs, 18 runs scored, and playing well, which was a big concern at second base. And there are some issues with Boston, which I'm sure we're going to get into a little bit later. But he has not been one of them. And so he clearly, above all the other rookies that are playing currently, is in first place.
Yeah, I agree. I've got him as well. I figure we both have him on that list. I figure our list is probably going to be fairly similar, but I'm going to go with the direction of a guy that has not hit that consistency yet in fantasy, but has had some fantasy highs, and he's on a team where he's not getting a whole lot of help. And so it's the Chicago White Sox pitcher, Shane Smith. And Shane Smith is 1-2 on the year, 38 strikeouts, 2.08 ERA with a 1.08 whip, and 104 fantasy points on the season so far. Like I said, he's had some highs. He had a game against Cleveland on the 8th of April, 21 fantasy points. On the 24th of April against the Twins, 22. And just this weekend against Miami, another 22-point performance by him. All the other ones were more single-digit fantasy output. But again, you're talking about a guy who doesn't get very much support from his team. And when you look at a pitcher who's a rookie and is pitching at a 2.08 ERA, you realize, okay, he's doing his part. If everybody else can pitch in a little bit, it'd sure be nice. So I wanted to make sure we recognize Shane Smith. I think long-term, he's definitely, your dynasty leagues and stuff like that. Obviously, he's a good get. And throughout the rest of this season, he's a streaming option depending on who they're playing. But the White Sox always scare me, especially right now when it comes to pitchers. But again, 2.08, that's a good ERA. So he may not be getting wins, but he's doing some good things, getting some fantasy points along the way. And I really like Shane Smith as one of the top pitching rookies so far this year.
I like him as well. And in fact, I did use him recently.
Good.
And was quite pleased with the results of that. So, anytime you pitch for the White Sox, people are probably going to pay a whole lot of attention to that, but you need to. And so, like you said, a matchup, stream them.
Yep.
And so I agree with you on that. And another guy that doesn't seem like he's getting a whole lot of attention, but entering today, he was hitting 358. And I'm talking about Jacob Wilson, the shortstop from the ex-Oakland, current Sacramento, I guess future maybe Vegas Athletics. And so not getting a lot of power. He only has 3 home runs, but he has 22 runs scored. And this past week, he had 2 hits Saturday. He was 4 for 5 on Wednesday and 3 for 6 last Saturday. So he's putting the bat on the ball and has hits in 10 of 11 games. So this dude is on fire right now. And so if you happen to go and check your fantasy league and this guy is available, I would make a move on him, especially when they're playing in that minor league park up there. Yeah. There's all kinds of offense going on. And so the future's bright for this young man. And so if you have a chance to have him on your fantasy team, I would certainly do so.
Yeah, I agree. I think Campbell and Wilson are both guys that are everyday fantasy players right now and how they're performing and how they're playing. And, there's a little bit of, for Wilson, being on the A's, but you're right. When he's at home, it's kind of like not quite as good as being when the Rockies are at home, but the same idea. When they're at home, he's going to be effective, and he's been playing really good baseball too. So I think he's a safe bet to continue on. And I think next year when we get into preseason rankings, I have a feeling his name will appear in some way, shape, or form as well. I think he's going to be playing some good baseball. Let me give you a 2-for-1 because one guy is currently injured, not playing, but they're both on the Tampa Bay Rays. Jake Mangum has 8 steals on the season. He should be having a rehab assignment soon and hopefully be back in the majors soon as well. But a good start to his year. Cameron Meisner is the guy that right now is playing consistently. Again, it's not his fantasy output has not been consistent, but he's doing enough to make you go, okay, I need to pay attention to this guy. As a rookie, there's potential where he's sitting at on the year 260 with 3 home runs, 11 RBIs, and 3 stolen bases. He's only had 1 positive fantasy output. Let's see here, 2 positive fantasy outputs in the month of May. So the last couple of weeks have been pretty tough on him. not been great. But that being said, you look at his numbers, you understand the situation in Tampa. They're going to be playing young guys. And I think both Mangum and Meisner are guys to watch. They're not necessarily guys you got to have on your roster right now. But as rookies, you're seeing enough out of them to go, okay, there's potential here for these guys to step up and be somebody as the season progresses and in the next year, of course, as well.
Oh, okay. So maybe Tampa is not quite in the grave like we thought, because they still have some young players over there.
Yep.
So a player that I wanted to mention that's in the National League, and the National League was the reigning champion when it came to rookies a year ago, not so much this year so far. But a guy to keep your eyes on is Drake Baldwin down there, the catcher for the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah.
And I say that even though he's had just seven at bats this week, but he's hitting 286. And Sean Murphy, the catcher, is hitting just 204. So he might be seeing some of his playing time severely curtailed. And if that happens, then it's going to open up the door for Baldwin. So I would keep my eyes on him. I'm not saying make a move, because hopefully you've got at least one catcher on your team that's solid.
Yeah.
But I would, if this guy gets into that lineup, I would keep an eye on him. And so I really, going forward, I think he's going to have an impact going down through the summer.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I think when Murphy came back, he started off kind of hot and made us go, okay, Sean Murphy, here you go. He's back. And then he tapered off. And you go, okay, why did they trade Contreras again? And so you get into that. And so, yeah, there's a great opportunity there in the Braves program there. And I think that Baldwin's a good one as well to keep an eye on. I'm actually cheering for failures from Atlanta's catchers, because a catcher that I covered at EKU is in the system. He's down in, I think, single A right now, so he's got a ways to go to work his way up. But the worse that the catchers play up top, the better chance he has to move his way up as well.
Okay.
So there's that. I'm going to go to another pitcher, the Dodgers, actually, Ben Kasparius.
Okay.
I think is how you say his name, Kasparius. Okay. Now he is 4-0 on the year, 29 strikeouts, 3.00 ERA, 1.07 WHIP, 107 fantasy points. He's currently pitching out of the pen, and which makes sense with how deep that Dodgers rotation is. But he's been pitching multiple innings more lately, and so he's getting you fantasy points, and he's proving what kind of talent he has. Because some of those Dodgers have injury history. Some of them have age not working for them. So, again, you're talking about a rookie that's out there performing. And in our league, he's going to get more points because we have holds and different things too. But he's got double-digit points in 5 of his last 6 outings. For a relief pitcher, that's pretty solid. He went 4 innings back on May the 5th against Miami. Today he only went 1.1 innings, but he had 5 strikeouts against Miami, 5 against Pittsburgh, 4 against the Cubs, 3 against the Rockies, and in those double-digit outings. So if he's going to give us 2 to 4 innings in a relief effort, he doesn't take up a start, and he still gives you double-digit points in fantasy, that's an impressive rookie in my opinion. So there's a lot of Dodgers relievers that are getting you fantasy points this year, but this rookie, Ben Kasparius, is doing phenomenal to this point as well. And for the record, he's only 9.4% rostered in ESPN leagues, which most relievers, especially not saves guys, are very low rostered. So there you go. If you got a league that's looking for fantasy points from relievers, I think he's a solid rookie to look at.
He certainly is, and he's a lot more solid so far than Roki Sasaki.
Yeah,
has been for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
It was 1-1, but a 4.72 ERA. And just the other day, he pitched against Arizona, and he struck out none. That's not good.
Not ideal.
That's not ideal. And if you have him on your team, obviously you can't really do anything with him. And especially if you're in a dynasty league, there's no chance that you could do anything with him. But so far, it has been a disappointment for him. And there was a lot of, going into the season, they were saying, oh, yeah, he's going to be another Yamamoto and all this other. Because Yamamoto started off pretty rough, remember, last year, but he straightened out
quickly.
And we have not seen that with Sasaki just yet. So, but if you've got him on your team, you have to be patient with him a lot.
Yeah. All right, you got one more?
Okay, so one guy, let's see, I want to mention is Jackson Joe of Detroit, who has no losses on the season, but a 4.88 ERA. So that's not looking too good. So I he's a guy that you can stream, and I wouldn't have any. If you drop him, I have no problems with it doing that.
Yeah.
And but overall, the rookies they're kind of rough right now. And the one that we were really looking forward to seeing, Matt Shaw, as we know, is in the minors. They're talking about calling him up, but there's no definite time for them doing that. And so there's nothing to be done with him. And Jason Dominguez finally woke up and hit 3 home runs the other night.
Yeah.
And but which is nice because that gives him 5 on the season.
Yeah.
So we talked about him, and he was high in my list of dynasty guys. Still, that's the case, but not so far, except for one game. Jason Dominguez has been pretty much invisible up in New York, which is kind of hard to pull off if you're a Yankee.
Yeah. And I forgot about this guy, but another Tampa Bay Ray, Chandler Simpson.
Mm-hmm.
I've enjoyed him. I got a deep league that I've got him in already. 7 stolen bases in 20 games. Only 5 RBIs, 4 walks, no home runs. He does have 3 doubles, but that's kind of what you're looking at with rookies this year. You're looking for more of a category than you are total scheme of things. Are they doing good somewhere? Are they hitting the ball well? Are they hitting for power? Are they stealing bases? Those are kind of what you're looking at and saying, okay, well, then I can use him for a while because that'll give me some points if you're in a points league, or I can use him because I need him in a category or whatever it may be. But you're right. We've not had anybody. We've had some big name call up, some excitement, whatever, and just hasn't happened yet. So we'll see how it continues to shake out. But, I think I got Luis Angel Acuna, who's still technically a rookie. He's having an okay, whatever. Chad Patrick in Milwaukee's had some moments, those kinds of things. But that's really what you're looking at with these rookies right now is you're either banking on the potential and you're going to be patient with them, if you're in a dynasty league especially, or if you're not in a dynasty league, well, by all means, drop them and just keep an eye on them, keep a watch out for them as well. So I like it. All right. That's the Fantasy Burner presented by Belly Up Sports. Check it out, bellyupsports.com and Belly Up Sports on YouTube as well. All right, let's head into segment number 2. It's the segment we call the Hot Corner. Our Hot Corner is presented by Righteous Felon Jerky. Join the flavor revolution at righteousfelon.com. Use the promo code BELLYUP. You're going to get 15% off your purchase. All right, Kevin, let's get into Major League Baseball. We've had some fun games this year. We've now had 2 managers get fired. Colorado released theirs today, and Pittsburgh, right? Got rid of their guy this week.
Which I'd never heard of Derek Shelton before he was fired. Okay. And so all you can pretty much say on both of those guys' behalfs is they're probably glad that they are relieved of their duties.
Yeah.
Especially because they're going to get paid for doing nothing the rest of the way. And it's always interesting when you have a manager. Bud Black was relieved today, but the Rockies actually won the game.
Yeah, but the day after they lost,
I understand it. They should have took the key to his office away yesterday. When you lose by 3 touchdowns at home, no less, and he was at home, so they didn't have to worry about he didn't worry about getting left at the airport.
Yeah,
but your office key, let's go, okay, and we're going to escort you from the building, and but
the Rockies are historically bad. Like they are. I think we can begin talking about this now at this point in the season. Like the Rockies may be historically horrible, and it's not like football where you get, or even basketball where you're looking at this great draft pick and No, you don't want to be. You don't want to be doing this. You want to be winning baseball games.
No,
And the Rockies, I don't even know how they sell tickets. That's how bad.
I don't know either. That's one of the amazing things about this situation, because I've seen Rocky games and they get people in the stands.
Yeah.
They always have, but yet they're consistently awful. And you talk about awful, they're off to the worst start ever in National League history.
Yeah.
And they're threatening, one season after the White Sox were historically the worst team of all time. The Rockies are in danger of dethroning them.
You're right.
They have 6 wins on the year, and we're 39 games in.
Well,
So
7. They have 7.
Seven. That's right, 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so they won today. So
Well, they
7.
have 1 touchdown in wins, and they lost by 3 touchdowns in 1 game. So, yeah, not pretty.
That's not pretty at all. And like I said,
They've only scored.
enjoy your life the rest of the season, because now you don't have this horrific, situation hanging over your head. And you go home, spend time with your wife, kids, whatever it might be. And so they're
Here's what's
better off
wild.
today than they were yesterday.
Here's what's wild about the Rockies. They've scored more runs than the Pirates. They have 7 less wins. They've scored 133 runs. Close to them, the Orioles are at 147, White Sox 139, Royals 143, Angels 144. So Rangers 140. All right. So the Rangers have scored only 7 more runs, but they've won 13 more games. And obviously, you go to the pitching side of things, and no one's even close. The Rockies have given up 261. And I was thinking, I'm trying to look real quick. The next closest to them is 218, which is the A's, and the A's have 21 wins. So,
Right.
so
And
it's
they play in a Band-Aid of a stadium, so they've got an excuse for that.
yes. So it's just not pretty right now. In Colorado, it's not pretty in Pittsburgh either.
No.
And you look at both of those places, Colorado and Pittsburgh, they got beautiful ballparks. They have passionate fan bases. Like, someone has to figure something out, whether it's spending more money, whether it's making some moves, whatever it is. You should be putting a decent product. It doesn't have to be a championship product to get the support that you're going to get, but you should be competitive. You should be top 3 in your division, which I know the Rockies, that's harder than many divisions, but still, like, you got to be winning more than 7 games in the first quarter of the season.
Right. And there's no excuse for the maybe the Pirates either, but like I said, the Rockies, they get the support.
Yeah.
They've got to have money. So
Right.
what the owner is decorating his office with it? I don't know. But something needs to be done about this, because the Rockies, they were in the World Series in the last century. This century, they went to the World Series, and they've just fallen off the map, and there's no reason for it.
Let's see. The Monfort family owns the Rockies. They are, aren't they tied in with Kroenke? Could be wrong on that.
I don't know.
I should have done all this research before we got here. Maybe not. Maybe they're not tied in with the Kroenke. Anyways, yeah. Spend some money, field a team, make it better.
That's right.
Red Sox.
Yes, we need to discuss this. We discussed this last week.
I'm going to ask it this way. Do we make too big of a deal out of Devers? Because he is playing good baseball.
He is now, yes.
Well, why do we care what position he plays if his defense has never been his specialty?
Which it isn't.
So if you're a Red Sox fan, and I'm not, but if you're a Red Sox fan, why do you want him to play first? As long as he's hitting the ball, I don't understand. Anybody else that you bring up, you're going to put at DH. Like, are they going to be better than Devers at DH? So why not just figure out first base another way and let go of this nonsense? I feel like we're overly critical of Devers, or maybe we should be, But I don't know. The more I think about it, I think, wait a second, why do we care if he plays first or DH? As long as he's hitting the baseball, that's all we really care about.
That's right. And this, your answer is reasoned, much more reasoned than what I've seen in the national media.
Right.
Because these guys on ESPN and places like that think that that Rafael Devers needs to be taken back to the woodshed and just have his head bashed in or something, because he won't play first, which is a position he's never played.
Right.
And it's not spring training where he can go over there and practice on it. And as we talked about last week, he's hitting the baseball after the most horrific start that I've seen an established player maybe ever have to open the season. And he's hitting the baseball. I know you're paying this guy $30 million. I get the argument, hey, he should be a team player. I get that part of it. But on the other hand, why do you want to upset the guy that is, for better or worse, a face of the team? And he's out there, and he, like I said, he's hitting the ball, and for the most part, staying in his lane. And what more do you want out of Rafael Devers than to have him stay in his lane? Because he can certainly wind up on the side of the road or, in the field somewhere, which is what happened this week.
Yeah.
Because he basically went off and told Boston Matt, do your job.
Yeah.
And the owner had to go and meet with him.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
Well, let me ask you this, though. Had the media not made such a big deal about it, would Boston have cared? It's like they're getting all this bad publicity because, well, some guy at ESPN says that Devers should be playing first base, or some guy on talk radio says Devers should be playing first base. Okay, well, if no one's talking about it, because you have to remember, in sports talk, there is a culture of clickbait. They do it with LeBron, they do it with the Cowboys, they do it with the Lakers. Like, we've got to say something that gets people to click. And I have never been that way. That's not my style. I just want to talk sports. That's all I care about. And so they got people who say, okay, we need content. Hey, this Devers thing, he wanted to play third. They moved him to DH. He didn't want to move to DH. He's mad because they didn't communicate or they lied to him, whatever. Okay, well, now all of a sudden first base is open. Hey, if we say Devers should play first base, what next thing you know is reported he told the team no, and everyone's jumping on it. And I'm like, I don't know. I just sit there and go, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Baseball has these massive rosters, this system full of players. And I know Devers is great, but he's not great at first base.
No.
So who cares? Let him hit the ball, move Bregman to first base, and let Devers play third. Like, just get over it and let's
especially because you look at the standings and Boston's in second place.
Right.
Despite all of this that's going on, they're having what you could say is, if you're in second place, you're having a successful season.
Yeah.
So why are you trying to put holes in your boat?
Right.
So I really don't understand what Boston is trying to do here. Because if they went to Bregman, he was willing to play second.
Yeah.
And he might be willing to play for, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure they wouldn't get this flack from him.
But you know why they're not doing that is because Devers isn't good on defense. So you put him at third base, it's a problem. He's supposed to hit the ball. That's what he's getting paid to do.
Right.
And that's what he's doing. So
he is doing that. And I know it's been done in Major League history. Like, I'm a Dodger guy, and Steve Garvey was an awful fielding third baseman in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
What happened? They moved him to first.
Yeah.
He turned into a Gold Glove infielder and nearly a Hall of Fame level player.
Yeah.
But they were doing that before he hit the major leagues. And Devers is in his it's got to be 6 years because they signed him to a deal.
Yeah.
And so it's way too late to be talking about, and you're a quarter into the season.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Well,
That's
and you got to remember,
disaster all written all over it.
The most natural position switch is catcher to first base.
Right.
And they've got catchers in their program. Now, I know they're not hitting the ball great, but I mean, that's what we're talking about. Devers is hitting the ball. Let them hit the ball. Put somebody else at first. And I have a solution. Caleb Durbin, Tobias Myers from Milwaukee, package them together, send them to Boston. Bring Devers to Milwaukee. He can play third base. He'll be happy. He can hit the ball. The Brewers will be happy. It'll never happen because of the price tag with it. But there you go. That's my solution. Milwaukee, go get them.
So, get on the horn to both clubs, and maybe you can work something out.
Make it happen. Okay.
That's right.
All right. Quickly, we've got some interesting things going on in the standings right now. In the AL West, the Mariners lead the division. They're 2 games up on Houston and the Athletics. So the A's are a game over 500. The Rangers are a game below 500. This is going to be so intriguing to watch, this AL West, because no one's taking over, and outside of the Angels, no one's going away either. So the way the A's are playing, we talked about Wilson in the first segment. Soderberg's been a lot of fun. They have some good pitching over there.
Yeah, Miller for one.
And so this is intriguing because if I'm putting money on it, I'm not putting it on the A's. But that being said, why not the A's? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, Seattle's not running away with it. Houston's not running away with it. The Rangers are definitely not running away with it. And are they all going to figure it out? Is one of them going to figure it out? Who knows? The Mariners are on a 3-game losing streak. The Rangers
got the Yankees coming into town start tomorrow, so it doesn't get any easier for them. Yeah. So that's one of the series to keep your eyes on going forward this week.
Yeah, no one's taking control there. In the AL Central, Tigers are winning the division by 2.5 games over the Guardians and the Royals. We don't talk about the White Sox very often on this show for good purpose. And the Twins are 5-game back. They are a game over 500. So 4 of the 5 teams are over 500. 3 of the 4 teams are have a positive run differential. But really, it is the Tigers. I mean, the Twins are on an 8-game win streak. And if it wasn't for that, they would be out of this conversation too. So they've gotten hot. And everyone is kind of doing their part right now. And really, when you look at the pitching, Tigers and Minnesota are the 2 teams you look at. Tigers have only allowed 142 runs. The Twins have only allowed 145 runs. And they've got talented pitchers, and we didn't really talk a whole lot about them because last year they didn't perform well. Well, it seems like the Twins, if they get their offense figured out, they're all of a sudden competitive again.
They are, and I have to, issue an apology because I wrote off Minnesota a couple of weeks ago, and for good reason. And as you said, they had to win 8 straight games to get over 500. And we'll see what goes forward. 8 straight, you got to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting, too, is because I'm looking at this, and going into today, Cleveland's got a winning record, but they're minus 14 in their run rate differential.
Yeah.
So that's kind of hard to balance the scales on that. And but they're in second place.
Yes.
And we've talked about Cleveland, and we know what kind of team that they can have. And if Clase was pretty awful.
Yep.
And if he gets straightened out, and Tariq Scobo pitched yesterday, and he's back on the beam in a major way.
Yep.
And he only had 2 runs to work with yesterday, and he made it work. And so they've got that. And I think this is the Tigers' division to win right now because they've got hitting, they've got pitching. So I'm all in on the Tigers.
Yeah, I've got more Tigers on my fantasy team than I'm happy with.
Yes, but especially Javier Baez.
Yeah,
and I'm shocked that he's on my fantasy team. I thought he had 1 foot in the grave, in the literal baseball grave.
Yep.
Because he's playing awful, but this year it's better. So
when you say you wrote off the Twins, that was literally right. Did you put the article up on BellyUpSports.com?
I did not do that.
Well,
I said it.
Okay.
Yeah, I said that on this very fine program. Like I said, a couple of weeks ago, but they were mired. They were behind the White Sox at one point, if you'll remember.
Yeah.
And if you're behind the White Sox in anything,
Yeah, it's not good.
That's not good.
All right, I'll look up to see if that was Eric or Jim that wrote that article. Maybe if they're still hot next week, maybe we'll bring that writer on. Because someone wrote recently on Belly Up Sports about Minnesota. In the AL East, Yankees 2 games up on the Red Sox, 3 games up on the Blue Jays, who are all of a sudden at 500. They've turned things around a bit. They got a 4-game win streak going. The Rays are 4 games under 500, and the Orioles, my goodness, you're talking about managers that are gotten fired. How is Baltimore still holding on to theirs? 15-24 is their record. They're minus 65 in run differential, and really not even sniffing interest in this division race right now. But less on the Orioles. We talked a little bit about them already this season. More about maybe the Blue Jays and where they're sitting at right now at 500.
They are sitting at 500, so you have to be pleased. Maybe not pleased, cheering pleased, but better than maybe we thought they were going to do. And they're another team because going in today, they were minus 30 on their run differential. And so they've been able to overcome that. And the team that I have the most questions about is Tampa Bay, simply because they've played far and away the most home games of any team in the major leagues going into, to this weekend.
Yeah.
And they are below 500 at home, and that has not helped them to be anywhere but in fourth.
Right.
So I'm really concerned about, because they're going to have to play a lot of road games, and that's going to even out things. And I don't see a pleasant summer coming for Tampa at all.
They are 7-5 on the road. 11.
Well, when you play 27 games at home, that really doesn't help.
By the way, history was made this week in Tampa. The first ever rain delay.
I saw that.
Tampa Bay Rays home game happened yesterday. It happened again today. So they've had 2 straight days with that. Of course, they've been playing in a dome all these years. Hasn't been an issue. So I thought that was a fun little stat. All right. National League West, Dodgers are on top, only by a game over the Padres. Both of them look really good. The Giants are now 3 games back. They're at 24-17. The Diamondbacks are a game over 500. They're 6 games back. And again, the Rockies, we won't really discuss right now about them. But the Giants, the Padres, and the Dodgers, their home record is amazing. Dodgers are 15-3 at home. Padres are 14-4 at home. The Giants are 12-5 at home. And they're all pretty much right around 500 on the road. So basically what I'm learning is the Diamondbacks, by the way, are under 500 at home, 11-12, and they're 10-8 on the road. So what I'm learning is San Francisco, San Diego, and LA, if you get them at home, you're going to have a hard time beating them. You're going to have to catch them when they're on the road.
That's very true. And the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks just got done playing a 4-game series, and the Dodgers split. And if you're the road team, I think you'll take a split every single time.
Right.
And one of the more impressive games that have been played thus far was Friday night when the Dodgers won 14-11. And Shohei Ohtani hit the 3-run homer in the top of the 9th inning to give them the win. And those are the kind of games that give you nightmares if you're Arizona, because they led by 3 going into the 9th.
Yeah.
And they lost. So
we have seen a lot of bullpen collapses this year.
We have
a lot of them. In the National League Central, Cubs are up by a game over the Cardinals, who are on an 8-game win streak. The Crew is 3 games back. They're 1 game below 500. The Reds are 3.5 back, 2 games below 500. Pirates, again, out of the conversation. So the 4 teams that are in the conversation all have positive run differentials, barely for the Brewers. They're at +3 now. They all are, decent. Let's see here. Decent at home with the exception of the Reds. And they're all, with the exception of the Cubs, not that great on the road. So the Cubs have had success more so on the road. They've played a lot of good teams. They have scored a lot of runs. Yet the Cardinals are a game back. the Brewers and the Reds are right still there in the hunt too. So it's like, as always, whoever wins the NL Central makes the playoffs, and wild cards probably not going to happen because the West and the East will take care of that.
They sure will, because you've got 4 teams that possibly could make it in the NL West.
Right.
And in the NL East, you've got 2 at least that threaten to make the playoffs. So the Central, win a division or stay home.
Yep. In the East, by the way, Mets are a game and a half up on the Phillies. The Braves are back in the hunt. They're still 2 below 500, but they're only 6.5 back. Nationals 9 back. Marlins 10 back. Phillies and Mets, I mean, that's really the storyline in the East. The Braves, they seem to be starting to look respectable, but I'll talk about them in our ads here in just a moment. But it's Mets-Phillies at the top.
It is. And the interesting thing about the Braves is they've been battling ever since they started 0-7 to get to 500. And they failed each and every time so far. They get if they win, they're at 500, but they lose and they're 2 games below. And that's been what's been going on for the last week or so.
Yeah.
So they're playing a lot better baseball, which that's when you're 0-7, that's not saying a whole lot. But they've been playing better. And this is one of the things that really amazes me, because the team is still not hitting.
Yeah.
And Chris Sale pitched today, and he did not look that great. And if he's not pitching great, that's a problem. And Bryce Elder is a guy who I think he's looked pretty decent, but he's nobody's idea of a 1 or 2 or even 3 pitcher. So the Braves, if they can get over 500, okay, then we'll go from there. But the Phillies and the Mets are going to battle it out all summer, and we'll see what happens with them. And it's going to be interesting because the Mets and Yankees play. Next weekend is what they call rivalry week, and the Mets and Yankees play each other.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. So you definitely want to keep your TV tuned into some baseball games next weekend, because you got all kind of interleague play all over baseball. So it's going to be really, really, really interesting. Giants, A's, you got the Padres and Mariners over you playing each other next week. So keep your TV tuned into baseball, that's for sure.
I agree. Anything else you want to cover on this segment?
I think that pretty much wraps her up.
Awesome. All right. Hot Corner presented by Righteous Felon Jerky. Find your new favorite flavor at righteousfelon.com. Use the promo code BELLYUP to get 15% off your purchase. Let's head into our most important segment of the show. We call it the Fantasy Focus. Fantasy Focus is presented by SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com to get your tickets to your next baseball game or any other event as well. Use the promo code BELLYUPSPORTS. You're going to get $20 off your first purchase. All right, we're in ads and drops. I'm going to run through drops really quickly, and then we'll spend more time on the ads. I've got 2 guys for you. I've got a pitcher, Brady Singer, in Cincinnati. Came over in the Jonathan India trade. Not worth being on your roster. Obviously, with all pitchers, you're streaming to a degree, watching for matchups. But Singer should not be rostered. And then Brenton Doyle for the Colorado Rockies is my batter this week. I don't know how you can roster any Rockies, honestly, right now. And I don't, and I can't. And so I would suggest you don't either. But Doyle's one of those guys. He's, I think, 40-something% rostered in ESPN leagues right now. And there's just so many options right now at the outfield that it's just, you shouldn't have them. Shouldn't have them on your roster. They can't get worse, but can they get better? That's the question. So those are my drops this week, Kevin.
Okay, so my drops, I'll go through them really quick as well. I've got Tanner Houck of the Boston Red Sox at the top of my list. He pitched against the Texas, which should have been a bond because their offense has not been that great. But he only had 2 strikeouts. And tomorrow he pitches at Detroit, and that's a no thank you. Okay. Same thing with Jake Irvin of Washington. We just talked about the Braves that are playing at Atlanta tomorrow. So that's a no thank you. And there's no reason to have these guys because they're even at the best of times, are streamers to me. And the last guy I want to mention, as I was going through the list of who's on people's rosters, and there's one guy which I'm failing to understand, and that's Jake McCarthy of the Arizona Diamondbacks, who has been in the minor leagues for weeks now.
Yeah.
And he's still on the roster of one of our guys in our league. And so don't be that guy. Okay. We're only a quarter of the way into the season.
Yeah.
So don't have guys that are on AAA. He was failing miserably anyway. He shouldn't have been on a roster to begin with. And he's still on a roster now. So send him away as fast as possible. And you know who I'm talking about out there if you're watching this show. So do that immediately.
All right, let's do some ads. I'm going to start us off today with one of my favorite players that's not currently in Milwaukee. He does not get enough love. It's Trent Grisham and the New York Yankees outfielder. Grisham is a great defender, which I know means nothing to us fantasy players. He's earning at-bats in New York this year. He's a solid vet, a phenomenal locker room presence, which, again, means nothing in fantasy. I understand, but he did not play today, but on the season, he's 276, 10 home runs, 20 RBIs, 94 total fantasy points on the season so far. He's been playing pretty consistently. He's basically in one of four guys fighting for 3 spots in the New York lineup right now. And he's been playing some really good baseball. And so if they're going to keep giving him at bats and you've got injury issues or you've got guys that are getting sent down, I love Trent Grisham, and I feel like he's performing this year back at a level where he's actually able to be on your fantasy roster. And by the way, he is only 36.3% rostered in ESPN leagues.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about, I know you don't like to hear about Chicago Cubs pitchers or players in general, but the Cubs this week play the Miami Marlins and then the White Sox. And so I have 2 pitchers. I'm going to just run through these real quick. The first one is Colin Rhea, who's at 8% rostered. He pitches against the Marlins tomorrow. And so that means he's got a 2-start week, and then he'll start against the White Sox this weekend. You want him.
I don't normally like to do this, Kevin, but I'm going to correct your pronunciation on this one.
Okay.
He's a former Brewer. So it's
okay,
Ray.
I knew that.
Colin Ray. I do
Ray?
know that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You're
Colin
good.
Ray.
Yep.
Okay. So I want to pronounce his name correctly because he needs to be on a fantasy roster more than any other pitcher this week. Because, like I said, he's got Miami and he's got the White Sox. And this other guy, I know I'll get his name right because it's Ben Brown, so it's pretty hard to just not say that correctly. He's at 4.2% rostered, and he pitches Tuesday against Miami, and so he may, depending on how the rotation goes and all that, but you don't need to worry about next weekend just yet. But he pitches Tuesday at home against Miami, and he's given up. He pitched against the former mentioned Giants, 5 innings, 3 runs on 6 hits, 9 strikeouts against 2 base on balls. So he is pitching pretty well. And so you want these 2 guys of the Cubs to headline your fantasy rosters this week.
Awesome. All right. So the New York baseball Mets listened to our show, and they finally decided Mark Vientos isn't cutting it. And so Brett Beatty, is getting an opportunity now. Just starting to get this opportunity against the Cubs. He went 4 for 8 with 3 home runs and 6 RBIs. So if they are going to let him compete with Vientos for the job at third base, by all means, put him on your fantasy rosters because the lineup is great and Beatty is starting off really, really good. On the season, he's 227, 4 home runs, 10 RBIs, and a stolen base. In ESPN leagues, he is eligible at third base and second base as well. So fantasy-wise, if he's going to be getting at bats, and he had 3 straight starts, the last game against Arizona on the 7th, and then the first 2 games against the Cubs on the 9th and the 10th. He did not play today. But that being said, if they're giving him the chance, to me, he's the kind of guy you go, okay, I'm going to add him just in case. Like if he goes off, if he wins this job, I'm really interested in Brett Baty. He gives me some positional availability with second and third base. And I mean, he's young, so maybe he takes off, maybe he takes advantage of his opportunity as well. So Brett Baty is an ad for me this week.
Okay, so you mentioned Vientos, and I had to apologize once again to anyone who listened to my putting him on my top 10 list of third basemen. I talked about him later, saying, "Hey, drop him." Then he started hitting again, so hey, pick him up. But it's not working, so I apologize for that. So
we win some, we lose some.
We win some, we lose some, and so the guy I want to talk about now is Grant Holmes of the Atlanta Braves, who's at 10.5% rostered. And his last two starts, he went against Cincinnati 5 1/3, 4 runs on 7 hits. No reason to get excited about that. But he pitched against the Dodgers, 6 innings, 2 runs on 4 hits. So anytime you hold the Dodgers down to 2 runs, that's pretty exciting. And he struck out 9 and walked only 2. And tomorrow he pitches against the Washington Nationals. And anytime you can face the Washington Nationals, that's a positive. So I know in the other dynasty league that you and I are in, I had to drop him to be able to win my matchup this week, but I'm doing everything I can to get him back. And I want him, and he set himself up for a 2-start week as well. So he's a guy that you want this week.
So glad you said him because I have a different Braves pitcher on my list.
Okay.
For an ad this week. He is rostered a little bit higher. He's at 24.5% as it currently sits, but it's AJ Smith-Shawver. And I look at him. He also, of course, is pitching against the Nationals this week. Against Cincinnati on the 5th, he went 8 innings, no earned runs, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, 30 fantasy points. And that win against Pittsburgh this week, he had 16 points. He's had double-digit fantasy points in his last 4 starts. I really think the Braves are starting to come around, and they have to have good pitching in order to come around. And I feel like these guys in Atlanta are guys worth paying attention to. Sale's not been great, of course. No one has in Atlanta, but I love both of these guys, the one that you mentioned, Holmes and Smith-Shawver over there as well. So 2-2 on the year, 34 strikeouts, 2.76 ERA with a 1.35 whip on the season. I like a lot of what I'm seeing out of both of these Braves pitchers right now.
I do as well. And we talk about how matchups are very important, and that certainly goes into this next guy, Jack Leiter of the Texas Rangers, who has absolutely nothing to discuss as far as his pitching stats. Yeah. That's not why I'm talking about him, because tomorrow the Colorado Rockies that we just mentioned come in here in Texas to play a 3-game series. And so if you have any Texas Ranger pitchers that are available, I would seriously think about getting any of them on your roster. And he goes Tuesday against the Rockies here. And so that's the only start you want him.
Yeah.
For. Okay. Yeah. I want to make sure I'm real clear about that. Tuesday against the Rockies, Jack Leiter, that's all you want him for is that one start. He goes, you kick him, and but you want any exposure when it comes against the Rockies.
Yeah.
And so he's on my list of an ad this week simply because they're the Rockies and they're awful.
Man, we're on the same page tonight, Kevin, because my pitcher is the exact same thing. It's a 1 start. He's starting on Thursday against the White Sox, Cincinnati Reds pitcher Nick Martinez. You do not want to keep him around after this start. Start him on Thursday and kick him to the curb. He's 1-4 on the season, 37 strikeouts, 4.23 ERA, 1.30 whip. Good outings against Washington and St. Louis in 2 of his last 3 starts. He does have 3 straight quality starts, so that's positive for sure. But he's not a long-term answer for you. But this week against the White Sox on Thursday, throw Nick Martinez out there. It'll be in Cincinnati, which I know isn't always our favorite place to have pitchers, but it's the White Sox. So Nick Martinez this week.
That's all you have to say is White Sox or Colorado, and fantasy managers should come running.
Yep. You got one more for us?
Okay, so was kind of surprised you didn't mention him because he does play for your Milwaukee Brewers, and that's Rhys Hoskins,
Oh,
first
yeah.
baseman. Okay, he's at 10.4%.
He's at 10.4%.
10.4% roster.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, and I was looking at this coming in today. He had hits in 5 straight, two hit games. That's not the kind of offensive, you know he's going to hit home runs, but you don't think he's going to have hits in a 5 straight game. But that's what he's done this week. And if you need help at first base at all, I would look to his way. And he's one of those guys you ride when he's hot.
Yep.
And then when the first crack comes, you send him packing.
Sure.
But right now he's riding a wave, so I would be more than pleased to do that with him this week.
I love it. My last guy is also a Brewer.
Okay.
On the season, he has a 0.00 ERA.
Okay.
You know what that means? He hasn't pitched yet this season.
Okay.
Brandon Woodruff will be making his return very soon. He will. Let me think. I think he pitched his last rehab start this week. So he should be back at the end of this week or beginning of next week. Brandon Woodruff is he's owned actually in 35.5% of leagues right now, which is higher than I thought it was going to be. The Brewers pitching has not been good this year. There have been high sides. Quintana has been decent, but man, Peralta's actually been pretty good too. But outside of that, it's been struggle. So Brandon Woodruff will come in. First game he's probably only pitching 4 to 5 innings, but Woodruff is a guy, veteran. He's been out now. He missed all of last season and a good bit of the previous season. Like it's been a long time since he pitched. So you can look at that in a couple different ways, but he's been looking pretty sharp in his rehab. He looked great in the spring. His rehab starts, he's been looking very solid and very sharp as well. I think Brandon Woodruff's a guy that's worth the ad. Another guy that says, hey, let's take a shot on this guy and see what happens in his first couple starts and see if he's worth holding on to. He's an amazing veteran, great dude. Hopefully he comes back and pitches well. But Woodruff's a guy that I'm all in on in his return.
Okay, so as a kind of a comparison, we could look at his name. I had his name right there at the top of Zach Eflin.
Okay.
Came off the IL today and pitched, and he threw 5 innings.
There you go.
And if you get 5 innings out of him, I think that's a solid way to get started. So if he can give you that, more power to him.
I like it. All right, Kevin, what do you got going on this week on the old bellyupsports.com?
That's been pretty busy week because I've got my an article out there. It's been out there for a few days now, but what to do with Jake Berger, and that's an easy answer. But yesterday I was on the No Credentials Required show and talking baseball, and also talking about the new name of the Utah Hockey Club.
Yeah.
Okay. We talked about that, and also I named my MVPs fantasy wise of week 6. That clip is on the Belly Up YouTube page, so you'll definitely want to take a look at that and see if you agree or disagree with that or not. And tomorrow, because I know that you posted, we're doing Belly Up. You and I and some others are involved in putting out some dynasty rankings. Running backs have been revealed. Quarterbacks have been revealed. Wide receivers by me will be revealed tomorrow. So I know it's just May, but you got to start planning these things for fantasy. This draft season, you'll be like, man, it's draft season already. It comes before you know it. So that'll be available starting tomorrow. You definitely want to check out all of those. And tight ends come is it Wednesday? That comes down.
Yep.
So dynasty. We're all involved in fantasy, dynasty, and football. So if you recall, I was on the clock last week while I was doing this very show. So, you might want to check into that. So all that is going on just go to the Belly Up YouTube page and just check it out. I'm all over the place over there. And you always can go to X or Reddit or whatever we're doing with it. But Kevin62 WILSCA, and posting all the time over there. So that's where I'll be, and come check me out.
Love it. Yeah, there's tons of stuff going on right now. We're putting out content like crazy. So yeah, on the bellyupsports.com website, if you go to fantasy baseball, there's articles there. And then we are diving deep into fantasy football now. We've got the top 30. We've got the top 30 rookies. Then we've got the quarterback rankings went out by Brian on this week. Running backs dropped yesterday by myself. You've got the receivers, like you said, on Monday, and the tight ends coming out from DJ on Wednesday. So lots of content going down right now on the Belly Up Sports website. A lot of fantasy content, especially, going like crazy. For me this week, me and Dad will be back on the air, the Sports Stove football show. Well, I believe be Thursday night. This should be the plan. So that'll be out again this week. That'll be live on the Sports Stove Facebook page, and then available for everyone to consume on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel or the Sports Stove Football Show podcast as well. Then I was on the Belly Up Sports bonus round. We just started that this month, and so I was able to go on I think it'd be a total of 5 rounds that I was on, and the first 2 are done and out, and so check those out, and that's on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel and on the Belly Up socials as well. A lot of fun, just kind of a trivia / opinion thing in about 20 minutes each. It's a lot of fun. We've had a good time with it, and got some friends on there. Ryan, who you were on Ryan's McCarthy show this week. Ryan's on there, and Hector from the Insert Name FC podcast is on there as well. Kelsey Coyne is hosting that as well from Hilo Sports. So lots of Belly Up guys on there. Let's see here. Our show continues next week. We'll be back for more fantasy baseball. The fantasy football show starts up in June, so that's going to kick off soon. Me and Kevin will be there for football as well. We're doing double duty, doing football,
double, triple duty sometimes.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. Brian Germanaro is going to be joining us for the football show as well. We'll have some occasional guests on there too. So lots of fun stuff coming right now for sure on Belly Up Sports. So follow Kevin at Kevin62 WILSCA. You can follow me on social media at Sports Stove is where you can find me on Instagram and Twitter also. And then make sure you're following up on all the Belly Up socials, Belly Up Sports on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, Belly Up Fantasy Sports on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just so much stuff going on right now. You don't want to miss out on any of it. All right. Thanks for tuning in to tonight's edition of the Belly Up Fantasy Live Baseball Show. We've had a great crowd tonight. Thank you for jumping in and being a part of the show tonight. We'll be back next week with more information and more fantasy advice and baseball news all at the same time. Make sure you enjoy yourself this week. Mothers, I hope you had a great day and continue to have a great week as well. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Everyone have a great week.